Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the class. This is going to be lesson 2. So we've done the intro, we've done sort of theory of analytics, and this is going to be our first hypothesis test here. And I thought I'd pick a relatively interesting topic of, has Jurgen Klopp improved Liverpool? It's fairly simple to test, at least in a cursory sort of way, and I thought it'd be something fun for the class to do. So with that, let's just go ahead and get started. So this is one of the big issues of this season, right? Is Liverpool started off kind of okay, but not great under Brendan Rodgers for the first handful of games. Fired him after the Everton game and hired the famous Jurgen Klopp. Um, the idea being that Klopp would turn them around. He's one of the great coaches in Europe. He'd really turn things around for Liverpool, really help them out, get them on the right track, restore them to their previous glory. Um, I've sort of snarkily tweeted a few times about how they really weren't that bad under Rodgers, and whenever they do um, badly, I talk about how it's all Brendan Rodgers' fault. And apologies in advance to Liverpool fans and Liverpool Twitter in general, because my snark probably will continue throughout this video. Klopp's a great manager. He did great things over in Dortmund. But has he done anything good in Liverpool? And as you can tell from this picture, even he is confused. He's really not sure. Um, they're still sort of a good team, but not a great team. Haven't been able to crack that top tier yet. Certainly with Leicester in there, it's been tougher. But with Chelsea out of the top, four or so, well out of the top four for Chelsea, this might have been their chance. Spurs have taken full advantage of it. Liverpool has continued to struggle. So the big question here is, have they improved under Jurgen Klopp? Just to go back to lesson 2, we talked about starting with a question, something you want to answer, something that would be interesting, something that's important. And this is a question: has Liverpool improved under Jurgen Klopp? Liverpool, am I right? That's also a question, although not much of an answerable one, as my slide says. And to me, at least, it's interesting. This is a major club in Europe, a historically big club, and they hired a big manager, big-time manager, and has it paid off? Was it worth firing Brendan Rodgers? So we're going to find out as this video goes on. How do we know? Well, this goes back to, again, we're taking this back to lesson 1 about the theory of analytics. How do we define improvement? What does improvement look like? Well, the simplest way is to talk about, is Liverpool winning more matches than they did under Rodgers? Are they doing better? That's the real football men always talk about, the only points that matter are the ones on the league table. It's the only thing that matters. So is Liverpool winning more than they were? Has Klopp, improved their form over Rodgers? We can look at a couple other metrics as well. Some simple ones are, have they scored more goals? Has Klopp created this more exciting style that's scoring more goals and really opening up defenses and doing all that? On the other side of that is the famous gegenpressing. Is that causing fewer goals? Is this high pressing style improve their defense so much that they're allowing fewer goals than they did back under Brendan Rodgers? Again, that's a place you'd see improvement. They could be winning more matches, but they also could just be scoring more goals or allowing fewer goals. Those sorts of things will eventually turn into more points, even if they haven't already, if it's true. A couple other things. We know that goal scoring is kind of messy, right? So maybe are they just having more good chances to score? Or are they allowing fewer chances to score? Again, the same as before. Has their quality of play improved? Maybe results haven't, but maybe their quality of play has improved. So that's an important thing to look at, and we'll be testing all of these things as we go through. You come up with a question. You say, what would the world look like if the answer to my question was yes? What would the world look like if the answer to my question is no? If my hypothesis is Liverpool has improved under Jurgen Klopp, then we'd expect them to win more matches, score more goals, allow fewer goals, have more good chances to score, or allow fewer chances to score. These are all observable implications of our theory. Again, we're taking the lessons from the last video and we're bringing them into this one. Think about how this all goes together. It's a fairly simple process, and we're going to test it for the first time right here. So the next thing we're going to look at is how do we measure these outcomes, right? Winning's easy enough, and these are all fairly easy actually, but winning's easy enough. Is Liverpool scoring more points per game? Win obviously worth 3 points, a draw worth 1 point, a loss worth 0. Have they improved the average points per game they're earning under Jurgen Klopp compared to what they earned under Brendan Rodgers? If Klopp's improved them, we'd expect to see a higher points per game. If Klopp has not improved them, we would not see higher points per game. Easy enough. Pretty straightforward. Scoring more goals, allowing fewer goals. I didn't even put a note on there because I think the measurement's fairly obvious. Scoring more goals we measured by, are they scoring more goals? And allowing fewer goals we measure by, have they allowed fewer goals? I'll give you a minute to write that down, but I think that probably should be pretty self-explanatory. The last couple I want to talk about are having more good chances to score. And we're going to use that by the expected goals measure. And I think I talked about this in the last video a little bit. And in the next set of videos, we're actually going to build our own expected goals model. So that's super exciting. Expected goals, though, are a measure of how many goals would you expect to score given the quality of shots you've taken. It's fairly simple. You take, 5 shots of a certain quality, you add those numbers up, and that's the number of goals you'd expect to score from those shots. Each goal has a 20% chance to score or a 10% chance to score, whatever the number happens to be given the position, whether it's headed or not, all those things we talked about last time. Add those numbers up, and that's your expected goals. How many goals would you expect to score? It's quite popular in the soccer analytics community, so I wanted to bring it in here. Similarly, allowing fewer chances, we're going to look at expected goals allowed. What sorts of shots are the opponents taking? Are they getting good shots, or are they taking a lot of shots from distance, maybe expected to not score a lot of goals? It's all fairly straightforward. We're turning concepts into measurements. We start off with hypothesis. We moved into measuring that hypothesis, and then we looked into how would we sort of turn those observations into a measurement. Again, pretty straightforward. This is all, goes back to sort of your 5th grade scientific method. Life is good here. Analytics is easy. It's just a matter of thinking through the process. My calculus teacher in high school used to always say, math is fun, math is easy. And it is. The math here is going to be incredibly simple. It's going to be stuff you learned, again, back in 5th grade. We're not going to do anything complicated today. The most complicated thing we're going to do is what's called the difference of means test, which we'll talk about in a minute. So all we're going to do is take 3 super easy steps here. We're going to take all those measures. We're going to take points per game. We're going to take goals scored, goals allowed, expected goals scored, expected goals allowed, and find the mean or the average for each of those things under Rodgers. Then we're going to find the mean, again, or the average for each of those things under Jurgen Klopp. And we're going to compare them. We're going to look to see, are those averages different? Have the averages increased or decreased, depending on what we're looking at, under Jurgen Klopp? If they have, it means Liverpool's improved. If they haven't, then quite frankly, they haven't improved. 2 separate tests here. The first is what I call the eyeball test. And we're just going to look to see what the numbers look like. As we look at the average, is it higher or lower as appropriate under Jurgen Klopp? If it is, okay, life is good. If not, maybe they haven't improved. And then we're going to do something called a difference of means test, which is taking the difference between the 2 means, applying some fancy math, which you're not going to do, Excel's going to do for you, and seeing if those are what we call statistically significant. Effectively, all that means is, are they outside the margin of error? Are they different enough for us to say with confidence that Liverpool has improved under Klopp or not? That's all this is. It's looking at 2 numbers and seeing if they're different enough to justify the idea that they in fact are different. Math is fun, math is easy. So here we go. It's time to go into trusty Excel. We're not going to do any R or anything fancy this time. We're going to open up Microsoft Excel and we're going to get going. And as you can see, this is exciting. So exciting that Mango once again needs to walk in front of me. Jurgen's excited. He's got himself a nice beverage there. I'm sure non-alcoholic because that would be wrong. And he's ready to go. He's ready to learn. He's ready to do some simple math. So we're going to switch over to Excel. And Mango's super excited about it. He's going to help me out. And here we go. I'm going to go ahead and switch over and be right back with you.